Hello and welcome to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Hartitz, and today we continue our Fantasy Files series with a look at Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and the Green Bay Packers backfield. I've been waiting to talk about these guys and Aaron Rodgers all summer long. Finally got the clarity that Aaron Rodgers is back, will be QB1 at least for 2021, which is all we're worried about today. So obviously, fantastic news for Aaron Jones, someone that, I've had as high as like my RB5, RB6 throughout this offseason. I moved down a little bit into the lower end RB1 range during the Rodgers, hoopla and just not knowing what was going on. But just in terms of the league's best overall running backs, I'm not giving Jones the crown, but I think he deserves to be in that discussion among the top 5, top 8 at absolute worst. I mean, the only complaint we have about Aaron Jones since he entered the league is like, why has he not gotten the ball more often? That's why we hated on Jamaal Williams, not because there's really anything wrong with the way Jamaal plays football, because in fantasy land, we want our running backs to get 300-400 touches, and Williams was always the reason why Jones couldn't get there. So Rodgers back. Jones, he signed a 4-year, $48 million contract extension last March. Jamaal is gone, freaking pump the gas, pump it, get it going on the Aaron Jones breakout potential in 2021. I don't even want to say breakout potential. He's already broken out when you earn a $48 million contract. I mean, that's just how things work. But anyway, Aaron Jones, again, what the kids might call an elite running back. PFF rushing grade since he entered the league. He is third among 115 qualified backs, tied for 21st in missed tackles forced per carry, tied for 3rd in yards per carry, tied for 12th in yards after contact per carry, and 11th in percentage of carries to go for first downs or touchdowns. And, if you look at what he does just on a per down basis, honestly, I'm usually most impressed with Jones when they tap into what he can do as a receiver. Him waving goodbye to Byron Jones as he gets the corner is great. And, he had some runs against, I think it was the Bears towards the end of last year that were truly special, seeing what he can do in the open field. But it's a damn shame Jones hasn't gotten even 50 receptions in a year yet. And it's borderline coaching malpractice. But would you really expect anything less from the guy that it took 2 months to play Derrick Henry over Dion Lewis all the way back in, 2018? So not necessarily saying we shouldn't have seen this coming with Jones. I just wish they could throw him the ball more, people, because since 2017, when they have lined up in the slot or as a true wide receiver out wide, only Austin Eckler and Nyheim Hines have averaged more yards per route run in those situations than Jones since 2017. There was one game, and we saw them tapping in this a little bit when Devontae has been hurt over the years, because Lord knows they don't have a consistent number 2 receiver to really lean on. And the one game that really stuck out to me was in 2019. They were playing the Chiefs. I think it was Sunday or Monday Night Football, but Aaron Jones had 8 targets, 7 catches, 159 yards, and 2 touchdowns, with a lot of those coming out wide. He took a screen to the house. Yeah, I don't know, getting the ball into one of your best playmakers' hands all the way out toward the sideline makes sense to me. Also ran a sick double move on a poor linebacker that was tasked with hanging out with him. So I'm not saying you need to just always line him up out wide. He's a running back. You unless you're Urban Meyer, you usually play your running backs in the backfield. But just being more consistent with, threatening with that usage, I think could go a long way. Because again, he's proven plenty capable of thriving out there. He did it more in 2020, excuse me. Like when you watch Aaron Jones, you watch his highlights from catching the ball. It's not like Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry situations where, okay, they're catching screens and making good things happen with the ball in their hands. He can do that, but we're seeing legit downfield, like contested catch situations, and Jones is coming away with the ball. So here's to hoping now that Jamaal is out of the picture, we see that part of his game, really take an even bigger step forward, because Jamaal Williams, again, was just so solid, and he missed 2 games in each of the past 2 seasons. That's it. Otherwise, 16 games in his first 2. And he was chipping away quite a few touches every single year. In 2017, Jamaal at 178, then 148, then 146, then 150, caught 25, 27, 39, and then 31 passes along the way. So the path to Aaron Jones being a fantasy superstar this year is pretty simple. His rushing usage doesn't really change. And instead of A.J. Dillon replacing Jamaal Williams. A.J. Dillon takes away Jamaal Williams' rush attempts, but Aaron Jones, for the first time in his career, gets this Alvin Kamara-esque receiving role in an offense that, let's face it, with all due respect to Aaron Rodgers' apparent BFF, Randall Cobb, really hasn't added anything in the way of, high-end pass catchers throughout this offseason. Maybe Amari Rodgers is fantastic, and there has been some rumors that he can get some run at running back, but I think we're looking at, a potential carry or two every few weeks for Rodgers. And the fact they brought in Cobb just tells you all you need to know. We got Aaron Rodgers, openly throwing MBS under the bus, saying Jake Kumaro was the second best receiver at training camp last year. So no, I think it's very possible Aaron Jones could be second on this team in targets if Aaron Rodgers and company feel the need to get him more involved in the passing game, which, hey, once you start paying the guy, $12 million per year, it makes sense if they ramp up the opportunities a little bit. A.J. Dillon's projected role, again, though, that's where it comes into question because Dillon only caught 21 passes in 35 games at Boston College. We have already gotten some words, though, where Jones, I think himself even said Dillon's looked better as a receiver. We had that, Jordan Love practice where everyone was losing their mind about how good he looked. And one of those plays was a wheel route to A.J. Dillon that I've thought about far too much throughout this offseason. So I don't think the Packers necessarily view Dillon as someone that can't catch the ball. The question is, will the disparity be wider than it was between Jones and Williams, wide enough for them to get Jones out there far more often on pass downs than they have before? PFF right now is leaning towards the latter situation arising in our projections ahead of 2021. Only Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, and James White, LOL, are projected for more targets than Aaron Jones. I talked a lot about my expected kind of projected fantasy opportunity score where I'm assigning 1.61 PPR points per target, just the historical average over the past 10 years, and 0.6 per rush attempt to try to figure out just in terms of workload, where would these running backs rank? It's not saying you need to rank these guys here, but hey, Nick Chubb is my RB9 and he comes in as RB18 in this. We better be confident that the running back is a complete baller and playing behind a great line and a great offense if we're expecting them to beat their opportunity by that much. In Nick Chubb's case, I think all those things make a lot of sense, and that's why I am comfortable with that. But when we see someone like James Robinson popping up with a 20-spot ranking difference, that's where maybe we can go back and hashtag adjust the old ranks. With Aaron Jones, he does come in as the RB9 in this projected fantasy opportunity score. Only guys projected to have just a more fantasy-friendly overall workload: Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Zeke Elliott, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Joe Mixon, and Najee Harris. So Jones is basically only behind Kamara in this group in terms of and Eckler, I guess, which makes sense. I mean, they're going to get fed targets. Every other back is like a legit 3-down workhorse for their team. Jones has that potential, and I think the ability to be a Kamara, Eckler, light type player in this potentially new look Packers offense. Well, again, it all depends how the Dillon Williams usage goes. If we see, these first team preseason snaps and Dillon's catching some balls and it's just a 50-50 split, okay, we don't need to completely bail on Jones by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think that's going to be the difference between him, repeating as the RB5 or again finishing as a top 5 RB, or just slowing down a little bit and being a borderline RB1. But anytime we have the lead back and, pretty much undisputed lead back of the league's reigning number 1 scoring offense, it's going to be good for the fantasy business. It's just a situation where, unfortunately, I don't think Jones is going to get that featured workhorse role that, you would hope the running back you're paying $48 million would get. He's only played more than 75% of the offensive snaps in 6 of his 54 career regular season games. It's not like Jones hasn't been getting fed the ball. I mean, it's just, again, not as much as we want him to based on how freaking good the guy is. So I know, Packers fans, they catch a lot of flack with Rodgers not having enough weapons and this and that, when in reality, they continue to be a really high scoring offense and a team that, we had I think Ed Werner tweet where he's like, oh, you have 30 years of Favre and Rodgers and only won 2 Super Bowls. Hell of a lot of franchises would love to have even one of those Super Bowls. So I don't want to, be here and complaining too much about Jones because, my goodness, the guy, 285 touches in 2019, 19 touchdowns, 248 touches last year, 11 touchdowns. Even if he's not getting, the 300-400 touch workloads we prefer, he's still getting fed the ball a lot. And again, if his workload can become just a little more fantasy friendly this year, which we have reason to believe it can happen. I think big things could be on the horizon for Aaron Jones. So he comes in overall as my RB7. I have him only behind Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, and Saquon Barkley. So I would take Aaron Jones ahead of Austin Eckler, ahead of Nick Chubb, ahead of Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris. I think that even though he doesn't necessarily have the Najee, Joe Mixon workhorse role in him, he has a higher proven floor just because, we've seen some issues with Mixon staying healthy. I will admit that, at least last year, and just generally not being the same high caliber talent that Jones is. And then for Najee, it's just, I think, a less sure offensive situation where, we're projecting a lot of touches here and they could be coming. But again, it's just a little bit more mystery than with Jones, who, if he keeps the same role he did last year, that's an RB1 role. And again, with the potential for extra targets, I think we could be looking at him being a legit top 5 producer at the position. Now for a very special part of this podcast, people. So I was looking at AJ Dillon. He is my RB34. I really like him because he actually is my RB33, right behind Fournette, Jones, Zach Moss. He's in the same kind of tier as Jamaal Williams, James Robinson, Kenyon Drake. And I was looking at these guys because Dillon, Robinson, Drake, and Jamaal Williams, even Latavius Murray, like all these guys are handcuffs to an extent because they're not their team starting running back, but they also offer flex value. Like AJ Dillon should be getting 10 or 12 touches per week. Obviously, if Aaron Jones goes down, that could double. But even if Jones doesn't go down, we could still get some, fairly consistent flex value out of Dillon. That's not really on the table for guys like Tony Pollard, Alexander Mattison, who have the same huge handcuff potential, not the same flex appeal. So, with any question like this, I had to go to Twitter and just find out what the people were thinking. So I basically said, this was my tweet. We as a fantasy football community need a cool name for Latavius Murray, AJ Dillon, Jamaal Williams type of number 2 RB, where yes, they possess huge handcuff potential, but also yes, they have enough of a role to provide some weekly value. And, I threw out a few lame, potential names: chain RB, necklace RB, rubber band RB, sticking with the, jewelry type thing from handcuff. But the one, the only, one of the goats of our industry, people, Mike Wright, you all know him from the Fantasy Footballers podcast. They're just great at what they do. Mike Wright comes in with what we're going to call these people from now on: flex with benefits. So go get your flex with benefits, AJ Dillon, in these mid-late round parts of the draft, because we're getting someone that has that upside, but also isn't just keeping a roster spot that you can't start them ever throughout the year. So that's why I have, Dillon ahead of the Pollards, ahead of the Madisons, ahead of these guys where, yeah, they have a great final range outcome, but so does Dillon. And Dillon could also actually give us something more often on a week-to-week basis. So Jones RB7, Dillon RB33. I don't like it. I love it. Let's get both these backs on fantasy football rosters of all shapes and sizes here in 2021. Hopefully win some titles along the way. So that's going to wrap up this edition of the PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for listening. As always, and before we get out of here, I just had a special advertisement to get off my chest. And I'm talking, of course, about our friends over at Manscaped. Support for PFF is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you: 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code PFF at manscaped.com. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. Their 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code PFF at manscaped.com. That's 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com, code PFF. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for your job with Manscaped. Again, people, always thankful you tune in to PFF Fantasy Football Podcast. New episodes every single day. Also, please check out my 100 articles, 100 questions, I should say, in a 100-day series. I'm through about 75 at this point. 25 to go. Grind's feeling good. I'm heading up to Myrtle Beach tomorrow. Going to be spending a week in the sun. We'll still be barking. We'll still be grinding. But after that, I'm in Cincinnati full time. So we'll get, out of my mom's basement into the nice PFF studio that I am largely moving moving to Cincy for, and hell, even my nice apartment that is mine. So we will, be improving the background here. I appreciate you guys putting up with it in the meantime. And until next time, take care, everybody.